Before England won the World Cup, England lost it. 4 months before kickoff, football's most famous trophy disappeared from a locked display in central London. A ransom demand threatened to melt it into scrap. Scotland Yard caught a middleman but found no cup. Then the case was solved by someone who could not identify a suspect or explain what he had found. His name was Pickles. He was a dog, but the stolen trophy was only the first crisis of a World Cup that excluded an entire continent, turned a politically unwanted country into a beloved underdog, drove Pele out through violence, inspired yellow and red cards, and ended with a goal people still debate. England had spent nearly 6 years preparing to host the tournament. Manager Alf Ramsey had promised to win it, although England had never even reached a World Cup semifinal. Television made the pressure national and immediate. The FA later estimated that 7 in 10 people in England followed the competition on their screens. The trophy embodied that pressure. It was not solid gold. Abel Lafleur's figure of Nike was gold-plated sterling silver on a lapis lazuli base. Its real value came from every champion that had lifted it since 1930. In March 1966, it went on display at the Stampex exhibition inside Methodist Central Hall, only a few hundred meters from Parliament. FIFA required secure transport, a locked case, continuous guards, and £30,000 of insurance. The exhibition was closed on Sunday, March 20th. A church service was taking place below. Between 11 and 12:10, somebody entered through a rear door, defeated the cabinet, and walked out with the cup. The thief ignored stamps worth millions and took the one object everybody recognized. England was preparing to present itself as football's natural home. Instead, it had to explain how it lost the World Cup during church. A package left at Stamford Bridge contained a £15,000 ransom demand addressed to FA Chairman Joe Mears. The sender called the trophy scrap gold and threatened to put it into the melting pot. The man used the name Jackson. Detective Inspector Len Buggy posed as Mears's assistant and carried a case that appeared to contain the money. Only £500 was real. Newspaper filled the rest. During a drive through South London, Jackson spotted the police back up and ran. Officers caught him. His real name was Edward Betchley, a used car dealer with a criminal record. Betchley insisted he was only the middleman. He received 2 years in prison, but the burglar was never conclusively identified. Police had a suspect, a ransom plot, and no trophy. 1 week after the theft, David Corbett left his South London home to walk to a telephone box. His 4-year-old collie came with him. Pickles began sniffing a tightly wrapped package resting against a neighbor's car wheel. Newspaper, string, heavy, but not very large. Corbett worried it might be a bomb. Then curiosity took over. He tore the paper and saw names on the base: Brazil, Germany, Uruguay. He ran inside and told his wife, "I think I've found the World Cup." At the local police station, officers initially doubted him. Then they confirmed it was genuine and made Corbett their leading suspect. After hours of questioning and weeks under suspicion, he was cleared. Corbett received a £5,000 reward. Pickles became Dog of the Year, received a medal and a year of free food, appeared on television, and attended England's eventual winners' banquet. England had recovered the prize. The tournament, calling itself the World Cup, still had to answer who it considered part of the world. 15 African teams refused to enter qualification. FIFA offered one finals place to be contested across Africa, Asia, and Oceania. CAF demanded guaranteed African representation and challenged FIFA's handling of apartheid South Africa. FIFA refused to change the system. CAF withdrew together, producing the only continent-wide boycott in World Cup history. The campaign eventually helped secure a guaranteed African place from 1970. North Korea claimed the remaining route by beating Australia 9-2 on aggregate in Cambodia. Britain did not recognize the North Korean state and worried about flags, anthems, and even the team's official name. Government officials assumed North Korea would never reach the final, so anthems were limited largely to the opening and championship matches. The Unwanted guest was based in Middlesbrough. After losing to the Soviet Union and drawing Chile, North Korea had to beat two-time champion Italy. Pak Doo-ik scored. Italy went home. The team British officials wanted diplomatically contained became Middlesbrough's adopted underdog. Thousands of local supporters followed it to the quarterfinal. Ibanan Mawim Wime. Brazil arrived seeking a third consecutive title. Pele scored against Bulgaria, but repeated fouls left him injured. He missed the defeat to Hungary and returned against Portugal without being fully fit. Portuguese defenders hit him again. There were no yellow or red cards, and substitutions were not yet available to rescue an injured player. Pele stayed on in pain as Portugal won 3-1 and eliminated the champions in the group stage. Brazil's unstable preparation contributed to the collapse, but the image that survived was the world's best player trapped in a match whose rules offered him no protection. Portugal's Eusebio, born in colonial Mozambique, became the tournament's leading scorer. His presence complicated the political map. A player from Africa was the greatest individual force at a World Cup, boycotted by African nations, while representing Portugal's colonial state. North Korea nearly produced an even greater shock against Portugal. After 25 minutes, it led 3-0. Then Eusebio took control. He scored once, converted a penalty before halftime, completed his hat trick after the break, then won and scored another penalty after carrying the ball from midfield. Jose Augusto added the fifth. Portugal won 5-3. Eusebio scored 4. North Korea lost, but not before an unwanted team had created one of the greatest matches in World Cup history. England had recovered a stolen trophy. Portugal had recovered a lost match. England drew Uruguay 0-0, then beat Mexico and France without conceding. Ramsey's narrow, disciplined, wingless wonders were becoming difficult to break. The quarterfinal against Argentina became chaos. West German referee Rudolf Kreitlein sent off captain Antonio Ratten after 35 minutes. Kreitlein spoke no Spanish. Ratten spoke neither German nor English. Ratten refused to leave while players, spectators, and commentators struggled to understand the decision. England eventually won 1-0 through Jeff Hurst, but the communication failure changed football. FIFA referee, official Ken Aston, watched the confusion. Later, while driving in London, he saw a traffic signal change from yellow to red. Caution. Stop. A language every player could understand. Yellow and red cards were introduced at the 1970 World Cup. One of football's most familiar systems came from a match where nobody shared the words needed to control it. In the semifinal, England faced Portugal and the tournament's most dangerous player. Nobby Stiles limited Eusebio's space. Bobby Charlton scored in each half. Eusebio converted a late penalty, the first goal England had conceded, but Portugal could not produce another rescue. England won 2-1. Portugal finished third, its best World Cup result, and Eusebio left with 9 goals. Ramsey had reached the final he promised. Waiting at Wembley was West Germany. Waiting in the royal box was the trophy that had spent a week wrapped in newspaper beside a car. Nay. Helmut Haller gave West Germany the lead. Jeff Hurst headed England level. Martin Peters made it 2-1 with 12 minutes remaining. In the 89th minute, Wolfgang Weber equalized. Extra time. Then Hurst turned and shot. The ball struck the underside of the crossbar, crashed down near the line, and bounced back into play. Roger Hunt turned away celebrating instead of forcing in the rebound. Referee Gottfried Dienst consulted assistant Tofik Baramov. Goal. Hurst remained certain it crossed. German goalkeeper Hans Tilkowski and defender Weber remained certain it landed on the line. The decision gave England a 3-2 lead and created a debate no modern replay can conclusively return to 1966 and settle for the officials who made it. West Germany still had time. England still had to defend. In the final seconds, spectators began entering the pitch as Hurst drove forward and scored again. England 4, West Germany 2. Hurst completed the first hat trick in a Men's World Cup final. Ramsey's promise became a scoreline. Bobby Moore climbed the Wembley steps, wiped his hands, and received the recovered Jules Rimet Trophy from Queen Elizabeth II. The photograph of Moore lifting the trophy contains 2 victories. England won the tournament. England also recovered the object being lifted. Brazil earned the Jules Rimet Trophy permanently in 1970 after its 3rd championship. In 1983, it was stolen again from the Brazilian Football Confederation. This time, it never returned. Its fate remains unknown, often presumed melted down, but never conclusively proved. The 1966 burglar was never conclusively identified either. The trophy disappeared from a guarded exhibition, reappeared beside a suburban car, and left behind a mystery no final whistle could close. England remembers 1966 as the year football came home. But before it came home, the World Cup was found by an ordinary dog on an ordinary street. The institutions were powerful, the police were organized, the trophy was guarded, Pickles found it.